What's going on YouTube? It's Chris here from Friendly Frenzy Games, and today I am here to put a bow on our Teardown series with this final wrap-up and review video. We've got over 100 different videos for Teardown on our channel, anything from full mission walkthroughs and setups to help you complete all objectives on each mission of the campaign, but we also have some short tips and trick guides to help you find the most expensive valuables. This way you can upgrade your tools quicker, but there's also some guides there to help you get the rarer Steam achievements for this game. So you're going to want to be sure to check those out, and as always, if you like what you see, please remember to subscribe to Friendly Frenzy Games. Now let's get into this review. So to kick off our review video, we are going to hop right into Teardown's gameplay. We really felt like this game is paced to play your own way. Now we were typically slower and more methodical than probably a lot of players out there. We really truly did spend a lot of time setting up to collect all of the objectives in each mission and ultimately escape with a very fast time. This usually meant that our mission setups took well over an hour, but it truly is what kept us hooked on the gameplay of this game. Now the developers did end up introducing an all-new creative sandbox mode in June of this year, and with this you're able to take as much or as little time as you want to really just wreak endless havoc on any map, destroying very literally anything you can imagine. In this mode, you're also able to create and destroy your own objects if that's something that you're into, but for us, we are definitely much more goal-oriented, and as amazing as the destruction is in this game, we definitely needed to have an end goal, and that's something that the sandbox mode just doesn't provide. The last real hit of gameplay kind of review here would be the physics engine. Obviously, in a destruction game, the physics engine is huge. With any good destruction game, you're wanting realistic physics to correspond with the damage that you're creating for the ultimate sense of accomplishment. Admittedly, as good as the graphics and physics are in this game, we did encounter some instances where even after separating a building's foundation from the ground, it would stay upright. Very literally, floors of cement would be held up on single pieces of glass attached to a wooden door frame. Didn't really make a whole lot of sense. This tends to be the case in a lot of the missions where it would have one objective and is literally to destroy a specific target, knocking it down below a specified target height. This can sometimes make it feel like you're taken out of the game as you're really kind of aimlessly running around the wreckage, trying to find that exact pixel that's keeping the entire building from pancaking in on itself. So now for a quick chat about the graphics of Teardown. So as you may or may not know, Teardown is a voxel art style. It's very similar to that of a Minecraft or Roblox. For us, honestly, in the past, it's not something that we've been particularly fond of, and they aren't usually the kinds of games that we would play. Once you adjust to these graphics, that is obviously if you aren't already accustomed to this art style, they really aren't all that important. It truly is the gameplay that makes this game. The amount of destruction I just personally don't think would be possible with any sort of realism if the developers hadn't chosen to go in this particular artistic direction. On that note though, you might find yourself needing to adjust some of your display settings, as it is seemingly typical to lose frame rate on larger explosions, especially having large amounts of destroyed voxels on your map. Especially during some of the community mods, using things like Nuke or Asteroid Strike, or on maps like Voxel Plaza, they are notorious for the amount of damage that they cause, and you will definitely experience some frame rate loss for sure. We've even had issues where it would crash us to the desktop. These could easily leave half of your map demolished in literal seconds, and it takes a lot of processing power to render these physics if you don't have an expensive gaming rig. So definitely be warned that performance issues are not necessarily uncommon with this game. However, with that said, we are running on a NVIDIA RTX 3060, and the basic campaign destruction seldom suffered from these issues, and it honestly feels pretty well optimized to not crash you out to your desktop. So that's a plus. Regarding game length, replayability, and time to 100%, as much as I had mentioned the gameplay really is, the pinnacle of Teardown, so too is the replayability and really the game length. The base game comes with 40 campaign missions, and these likely taking an hour at minimum to complete all objectives. You're very likely going to be spending quite a bit of time with this game. If you're into the goal-oriented destruction like we were, the developers also released an expanded but separate campaign from the main story, which includes an additional 5 missions, so obviously it's not all that much, but it does introduce a new map and also some new mechanics to meet some of your objectives. With that said, we were able to complete 100% of Teardown's 27 achievements on Steam in just under 65 hours, but you're definitely able to spend much more time in this game, especially in the creative sandbox and endless community mods, if this is something that interests you more than they did us. In terms of replayability though, there's always the option to go back and replay missions that maybe you didn't perform so well in. We found it honestly particularly cool to go back and do some of the earlier missions as we kind of learned more and more about the game, and we're able to kind of tackle these missions now with our upgraded, fully kitted out tools. But they also have challenge modes that offer you unique ways to replay maps and missions with additional objectives, or just different objective placements and other modifiers. So again, just continuously adding to the already endless replayability possibilities of this game. For a little bit of background into Teardown's story, you're an independent contractor working for LTS, which stands for Lockhell Teardown Services. This company is desperately in need of jobs and money to keep the doors open of your company. This leads you to taking jobs from less than desirable clients and ultimately forms the basis of what you're going to be getting yourself into while you work throughout the game. Now, the story is told primarily through email conversations and just strictly text. This is all done through your work computer, but all it really does is provide you some context and set up your kind of headspace for the next mission. The story definitely is not integral to the game and really isn't anything to get invested in, but it is nice, I guess, to have a little bit of an idea as to what you're doing and why. And it's kind of funny, some of the emails after you complete your mission, to, hear back from the client that you just went and blew up his towers or his cars. But it's really told in 2 main parts. So the first part of the campaign was released all at once, with the second part kind of lagging behind a little bit. It was released as a separate chunk considerably later, after the game had already been out for a little bit of time. For this reason, I think honestly the campaign feels a little disjointed. Part 2, along with a little vacation on an exotic island that you'll kind of go through, it introduces new areas. It's less reliant on the speedrunning setups from the heist mechanics of Part 1. Part 1 is very reliant on the heist-style missions where you're collecting all of these objectives and trying to escape within 60 seconds. But again, though, Part 2 does definitely play at a much different pace than the first part. After you've completed the main story, though, it's really cool. We've previously mentioned that the developers released the expansion campaign. This is a separate storyline altogether. Again, if you remember, it does only add 5 missions, but you're going to be playing in different areas. Again, you're introduced to new objective mechanics over the course of its 5 missions. It's short, but it is a really fun and welcomed addition to scratch that strategic and goal-oriented destructive itch. When it comes to talking difficulty in Teardown, honestly, it's not a very difficult game to play. As we mentioned already, it very much is a play your own way, play at your own pace style game. We feel really that the controls are pretty logical, your tools work well, and once you get an idea of really what it is you're trying to do, it is up to you to create the best possible path for you to achieve your goal. Now, you can take as much time or as little time as you want to set up. Usually you only need to complete about half of the overall objectives in each mission to move ahead to the next one. However, with that said, if you are striving to complete 100% of the achievements, there is one for completing all mission objectives for each of the 40 story missions in this game's base campaign. It's easier to do on some missions than others. Sometimes you're going to be trying to string together collecting 8 or 9 objectives, but definitely with some time, some effort, patience, and creativity, you will 100% be putting together the perfect speedrun solutions together in no time. Now, when it comes to the audio of Teardown, if we're going to be completely honest, it's really not much to write home about. The menu music at the very beginning starts off as a bit of a bop, but it does get progressively annoying, especially because it's one of 2 songs maybe that you ever hear in the game. I honestly don't even know if there's 2 songs. If there are 2, they sound very similar, but yeah, honestly, With this, the sound effects are as you would expect, they sound as you would expect, but you definitely will not be purchasing this game for its soundtrack. Now, one of the juicy areas is the price for Teardown. So the game's base price actually did go up an additional $10 just this past March. So it does remain to be seen what's going to happen when it comes on consoles towards the end of this year and how it's going to impact that current price point if it does at all. When we purchased the game, so about 2 or 3 months ago, it was at the price that it's currently at the time of this video. Obviously, I mean, we're Canadian, so the prices here are $39.99 plus tax. So if you're elsewhere, it's likely going to be a little less or a little more. But this is definitely one of the more expensive games. I think probably the second most expensive game that we have purchased on Steam. But far and away, aside from that AAA Starfield that we had just purchased, in terms of all of the indie games, it is definitely the one that we have spent the most time with. And for a couple of dollars difference, if you're enjoying the game, if it looks and sounds like something that you would be interested in, the price point is definitely, we would think, worth going all in on here. So the final verdict is in on Teardown. Would Friendly Frenzy Games recommend this game? If you've been listening at all to our review, you could probably make your own assumptions where we're going to go here. All in all, we thoroughly enjoyed our time with Teardown. We had very low expectations for this game, even after sifting through its continuous outpouring of overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. And just for the record, it is still overwhelmingly positive months later on Steam. We just really didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. We knew that the destruction was going to be playing a huge role in this game. However, we were so caught off guard and honestly pleasantly surprised by the amount of thought and strategy that could, but didn't necessarily need to go into planning the perfect heist and completing your missions. We cannot say enough good things about this game. It's definitely not perfect. I mean, in this day and age, very few games are, but this is definitely a solid 8.5 out of 10. Especially after considering everything that we've talked about, and we would honestly recommend it to anyone. Whether it's a regular price, but especially if it's on sale, if this game, again, if it looks like, sounds like something that's even remotely appealing to you, definitely do yourselves a favor and pick it up. This is going to give you hours and days of fun, and it truly, honestly feels like a game that, you know, nothing else like we have ever played. So there you have it, everybody. That is our review for Teardown on Steam. Currently, it's only on PC, but it is coming to consoles by the end of 2023, so obviously this year. As we mentioned off the top, we do have over 100 Teardown videos, and we will link the playlist in the cards, the top right section of this video. You can definitely go there, check out some full walkthroughs, check out some of the guides that we put together if this video at all piqued your interest in the game, especially if it's not a game that you've really heard or seen much about. We would definitely recommend that you check some of that out there. But again, though, if you like what you've seen in that playlist, if you like what you saw in this video, make sure you're subscribed to Friendly Frenzy Games on YouTube, and we will see you all in the next video.